All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to see if I'm live, like I usually do. All right. All right. So you cannot actually trust anyone on YouTube. You cannot trust YouTube. You cannot trust anything on YouTube. You cannot trust anything on the internet, and especially YouTube, because the YouTube by itself is just opinion. Now, if it were factual, like it might be, it would have licenses. It would have all kinds of licenses that you would have to sign away your wagers, and you would have people speaking the truth all the time, and people would hate that. And also, it would be a news site. You'd have to be creating copyright for every video, but that's happening right now. But claiming the video as a news site, you would be spreading all kinds of news instead of actual videos that are entertainment. So this is entertainment and entertainment value. So if this was a Christian site, this would be all truth. But all Christian sites I've been to, they're all lies. And the churches I've been to that are Christian sites, mainly most of them are lies. Tim Henderson is a good one. That is a truthful one. Even though some of it is, not the best. Now Tim Henderson. All I have to do is, all I have to tell you is, live by a personal example with God. Be personal with God. And personally, just it's good for you to tell you the truth. But anyway, now YouTube. YouTube is full of people that love to speak their own ways, and some people are so cunning on YouTube that they can actually speak lies. Many of the people who are of faith, who claim they are of faith, and are not really of faith, are actually people that speak lies all the time. They know what they're doing, and they literally, they know how to speak a lie based on what people like. Like people like seeing heaven, and they say, "Oh, I've been to heaven," even though they haven't. And they say if they've been to hell because they want to they want to make themselves look bad in front of others, so that they can say, "Oh, I feel bad for they want to be. This world loves darkness, so they will say, "Oh, I like the feel about the video about hell," but they'd rather have darkness rather than light. Now, the only reference I'll give about hell right now is that it's really a flame in a cave. That's more like a living thing than not, but it's a flame. It's a lake of fire. It's lava. Do you want to get more detailed? It's like when you enter the flame, it's trying to swallow you up. It's all I'm going to get, okay? And worms eat it eats your flesh alive. And there are many worms in its own various places that will literally eat you alive. I've seen other parts of it, and that's all I'm going to give you anyway. So some places have elements melting, and that's the worst place to go to, But I'm talking about YouTube. YouTube likes to talk about hell, even though no one's been there. They talk about the torturous cells, or the what do you call those things? Like the tombs that people have been in, or maybe what the people go in, and they go in these coffins, and they've been in coffins. Maybe they're in the pile of people being swallowed up alive in hell, and they're no longer there. It's not that. Hell's just a lake of fire with worms and brimstone, with a lot of scary aspects of it, filled with demons, and it's painful, and it smells, and people are dead there, and it's corruptible bodies. So that's all I have to tell you. So now people talking about heaven, you get to see all these living buildings. No, heaven is more mysterious than hell. Hell is not that mysterious in some ways, but heaven is like the best place you can't imagine. Heaven is the best place you can't imagine. So anyway, YouTube has been known to lie about everything, even news sources. Let's say news sources. So they would say, "Oh, these people have, I don't know, like Donald Trump should not be impeached. President Trump should be impeached." They're very divided on that. The news source is so divided, and then there's news sources where people vape and go on alcohol, and then they're drunk and they're under the influence. I've seen that before. Trust me, I've seen people get drunk on the news source, and that is not trustworthy. People still fall for that. And I've seen people talk about witchcraft and all that, how they get drunk on witchcraft. I don't know if that's true, but from my personal experience, I have been a Satanist, and I've done the upside down prayer. I've been attacking people. I've been being taught by demons, and I wasn't even in the church. But I have been hearing about sources about these Satanist churches. Well, some of them are actually okay, not okay, but they don't do crimes. Well, other might do crimes. They just believe in Satan. That's it. Like I was a Satanist, and I believed in Satan. I was not the nicest guy, but I believed in Satan. I didn't kill anyone. I didn't molest anyone. I didn't have any intercourse with any children. I didn't have any intercourse with any women or beasts per se. But I was just a Satanist, and I was proverbial, and that was when demons do mess with your mind. Trust me, they really do. Also, let me just say that YouTube lies about like I said, it's a serpent. Its venom is dripping from its fangs. From YouTube. And what else does YouTube lie about? Money. Well, how'd you get money? How'd you get rich quick? Some aspects are good. It's another worldly aspect, but some people they find sneaky ways of getting their own money while you're lost behind and you don't know what you're doing. So they get a lot of people passing by until they don't know what they're doing with that. So he left for personal reason because of that. Or they might lie about cold energy, like it's another worldly thing. But they might say, "Oh, there is conspiracy theory with a cold energy." Well, they're just trying to basically have like cold energy is trying to pollute the world, or energy itself is so new age that it cannot be contained in moral values because the people are hippies. No, that's not true. Or another thing that the YouTube will lie about is its people. Yes, even the people are corrupt there. Yes. Ever hear of Tobuscus? If you've lived up to this, if you went this far, Tobuscus was a guy on YouTube. Well, everyone trusted him. He was one of the most funny guys I've met on YouTube. He was a guy that was doing videos apparently for kids, but if you looked past him, there was something very wrong. No one saw that. I mean, very few people saw something wrong with him. He was making violent videos for kids and weird stuff about his dog. And apparently, once people found out, it was only by one thing. God knew straight through his. God knew straight through his heart. Jesus saw straight through Tobuscus, Toby Turner, and he let the demons enter his body. And I don't know what happened, but apparently he raped his girlfriend, and now he's just a little husk of what he used to be on YouTube. And he's done for on YouTube. He's lost. Everyone knows about him. Everyone knows what he's done, and YouTube knows about him too. It's everyone knows everything about him. We see it straight through Tobuscus, and then there was PewDiePie. He's still the same as he used to be, and better. But he made videos that was always about guns and horror. And he mainly did horror back then, but then he was doing Minecraft. It was all the scary stuff and all this crazy stuff. But originally, he's from Sweden. But really, what happened later, no one apparently saw this coming. Apparently, later on, he was so racist that nearly got booted off YouTube, and now ads are suffering because of this. Ad revenues are suffering because of it. So now we have that, and then now we have other things like, for one example, is another YouTuber, and another one. Seems like a lot of YouTubers are following their suit, and even those people that are YouTubers. I've seen only very few people that were speaking the truth, and I'm seeing past a few people that are. One of them is Mocker, possibly, and the other one might be having issues with excuse me, with other issues with who knows what issues he has sexually, but you don't know what his personal life was like before, so he might be, he might be feminine, but effeminate. He might be he might be, he might be gay but he was gay before, and now his life is like he was gay, but he repented from it, but not fully because of his body. But you cannot fully repent from a body of filth. So anyway, no one's perfect. But I digress. Now for views, YouTube is a snake. It's a serpent that it's, like I said, dripping with venom. So that's the same with Satan. Even then, people saying that, they have visions of the rapture. Well, most of them are saying law can only be law, or others are saying grace can only be grace. Now we've got to do our part and just accept that Jesus died for our sins, and we're helpless without him. Now there's no works to us. No, there's no works to our part. All we have to do is the only thing we have to do in the beginning is obey God. Obey God by his command to basically accept that you're a sinner and turn from your, not just turn from your sin, but really basically repentance is changing your mind about sin and not wanting to be part of it anymore. You want to be in heaven now. Sorry about the singing. I probably might get this video defeated. Dang. Now, basically, I don't know what to do. But yeah, basically, I have to be rude, but they're not gonna like this. I guess I'm gonna continue. But basically, repentance is of changing your mind from sin and that you don't want to be part of the sin anymore. So you come to Jesus because he died on the cross for your sins, to call upon his name, to basically have mercy on you and call him Lord and please, I want to be part of you now, and Jesus, I just want to be in your kingdom because Jesus, I want you to have your mercy on me, and Jesus, you are my Lord. Tell me what to do. And he will guide you through your life. He'll be your guide throughout your life. The Bible is your guide. Everything is your guide. And even better, you won't be blameless on earth because no one can be blameless on earth. Because even assault is a sin. Basically being perfect, means that you're, holy on earth is impossible except for God. So once Jesus has paid once Jesus has paid for us for our iniquities, when he's paid the price, we can be blameless in him once he's in us. You see, that's the truth. No one wants to hear the truth. But let me tell you something. Most of the internet, excuse me. Most of the internet does not want to, most of the internet doesn't want to hear about the truth. The truth is foreign to the internet. It does not know the truth. So YouTube is a video source for all internet, and it's basically all opinion. YouTube is only opinion, it's mainly opinion, it's just opinion. And the news sites there are from television sources. That's all it is. Television sources are more trustworthy than YouTube sources, and even then, we're just fallible beings. We're liars by heart. We like doing evil things by heart. Some people like doing whoremongering. You know? We sell sex. Or in other words, we like to do witchcraft by masturbating, you know? Or another term, we just like to have gods, like computers and like money, and all the other gods, like a house, or even a god, you know, like a car that you have, or maybe a god, like a mansion that you live in. Everything can be your god, even the idols, even people can be your god. Maybe I can be your god, and I don't want to be your god, but it's not what I wanted. I feel offended by people calling me a god. So don't call me a god. I am not a god. In heaven, I'll just be like him, but I still won't be a god. I'll just be a person under Christ. Even ruling will just be, you know, perfect. It's like, I mean, we won't be God. We'll just be married unto God. It's like a princess type of thing. We'll be like a little daughter in heaven. That's all we'll be like. There's no such a thing as a goddess or a god, unless it's by weird theory that is goddess is a beautiful thing, and God is a manly thing. There's no such thing as a child god or a goddess. No such thing. That cannot happen. Also, maybe Jesus was a god when he was a child, but that's something different. A god or a goddess is under a ruler in our authority. And by the way, there's no such thing as a god or goddess. There's only one God. His name is Jesus. His name is I am that I am. And by the way, in English terms, in Hebrew terms, Jesus, his name means God with us. That's all it means. So really all you need to know is that I am that I am, his name is God, or whatever his term means. His name is mysterious by all languages. You know? So Jesus is that God. Is our only God. So I really digress right there, but you know, still. People lie about people. I mean, what was I talking about? The sound was distracting me, and it's even going to the store. It's just the noise. Okay, good. I bet you started the other one. Anyway, so yeah, Jesus, supreme ruler. So yeah, I mean, in heaven, I don't want to be called God. I really don't want to be called God. That's all I wanted to tell you. Now, let's just say that I am ruling heaven. That does not make me God or a God. That just makes me under his bridge, he's of heaven. So now let's go to the fact of YouTube again. If someone on YouTube calls someone a god, or if let's say a person on YouTube is a god, like Ninja or PewDiePie or whoever that person is a god, maybe the devil will be Tabascus or anyone that is basically let's say a person that's God even is me, or maybe a person that's God is I don't know, like Cherry Lip Lady, or Cherry Lip Blossom, whatever you can call that person. Maybe Cherry Lip Blossom is your god. Maybe in the past, maybe in the future, And that's just an example. Don't say it's literal. So let's just say that everyone says, "Oh, let's have." YouTube basically YouTube even lies about population, city population, and they can even lie about oh dear. They can even lie about how to protect yourself from sex. I mean, have you heard of this one fact? YouTube, YouTube has lied about how to get rid of HDs, HIVs. YouTube has lied about how to get rid of HIVs, STDs, and all that, and how not to get rid of it, but to it's 100% likely that you will not have STDs because of condoms. Well, that might be the case 90% of the time, but 10% of the time, if you get pregnant from a condom, if you have a person that is, let's say 2% of the time they have an STD, or maybe it's like let's say it's a slim chance that you get STDs from even wearing both condoms. Well, you get a condom and then you get STDs. Who's to blame, YouTube or you? You are. Because YouTube is also to blame, but really you are to blame too, because you are listening can get. So if YouTube can get its act together and say, oh, if we can make sure that no one lies on YouTube, then that would be great. But if it's based off of now, if there's this thing that said truth on it, then it'll say truth all over let's say this is a true video, go by its facts. If it's not true, we will delete it. It'll say it on the video for the first section, for the first 15 seconds, then maybe 10 seconds. Then it will say it below, but it's not. Dear. Excuse me. So it's not like that. YouTube is not, oh, we have to prevent all lies from happening. Now, what happens if lies about how to save your life from an attack? People are different all over the place. Sorry about the music. So if someone lies about, let's say a police has to go on the front side of the car. Well, let's say the car is on, and the gas and the bullet hits the car wrong. Let's say it hits the engine just right. This is theoretical. And car blows up from the engine, the car shuts off. Or if the gas tank blows up and it lands on the police officer as well, where let's say you're hiding behind the car and someone hits the gas tank with a bullet and the car crushes the police officer, who's to blame? They are. They're to blame because they listen to YouTube. Now, the police have to keep their distance from the car, don't they? If they see someone pointing a gun at the gas tank, well, they have to flee the car, don't they? So they have to assess everything that's around them. Now, I don't know what the policemen do, but I think they take all. I've seen people look at certain. I've seen a policeman look at the doorways, certain ways that person can kill them, like maybe through a door when they get aggressive, or maybe through another door. They keep looking. Let's say this way as an example for the police to be attacked. So they look at that way, but they also look this way, like this way, and they see, oh, there's another way for a person to attack us. So they back up, and then they look this way, and then they look this way. So they position themselves in a certain manner. Now, how they do it, I don't know how they do it, but they look at every single way that could go wrong. They're trained to do that. Everything that is explosive, everything that is sharp, anything that is dangerous, they know what to do. If you say, oh, this is how you... If they point out one thing that the police does, or just a few things, they're just missing the picture. If you're protecting yourself like the police do, you're going to die. And for another example, I don't know where the wood comes from. Where does wood come from? I mean, it comes from trees, but for example, this is wood underneath here. Oops. Wood underneath here is like, I don't mean to do that. That I believe is like another wood, or this is like recycled wood, fake wood. Where in another term, fake wood would sound like that. And here's, that's like, fake wood is fake wood. You have to knock on it. But these days you cannot knock on wood. You don't know what fake wood sounds like or what real wood sounds like. And if people say, oh, the trees are dying because of us, and the Brazilians are, let's say, taking all the trees down, well, there's still a lot of trees left in Brazil, but the population of people is, how much wood does a house take? That's, the walls have at least one tree is for every wall, I believe. So one tree cut down for every wall, and more for ceiling. So I would say about I don't know. Don't take me for real. But I believe that an average house in America has at least taken, I don't know, 40 trees. And if there's like 1 billion, that's 40 billion trees that has been taken down. Well, don't worry. There's at least trillions of trees. If people are worried about trees, don't they have a plan in action to plant more seeds in the ground? It's not going to be for our generation. It's going to be for generations in front of us. Trees don't grow that quickly. They grow like us sometimes. A lot more than other times. Trees have long lives. And are living things. And, even worse is there's forest fires. But, there's still going to be plenty of trees around us. And the city doesn't look like that. So apparently a YouTuber thinks, well, there's so many trees being cut down, so we have to plant 20 million trees for every dollar. 20 million trees is nothing in comparison to how many trees there are in the world. I'm sorry, there's a lot of people saying, well, there's a lot of trees that are being cut down, and there's going to be the earth is going to be barren. I think there's going to be plenty of trees left over. A third of the trees are going to be burned, but there's going to be plenty of trees left over when this world ends. And then the world I would say that the world will be destroyed. There's going to be a new earth and a new heaven. So trees are going to be a continuous thing. The people that are on the left saying, well, the trees are no longer going to be here if we keep doing this. The population is going to decrease, and the trees population is going to not also decrease, but it's going to be this. It's going to be quite possibly the same because there's a lot more trees than there are humans. Trust me. There's a good percentage of trees in the Arctic. We haven't messed with those, and there's a huge percentage in the jungle. A lot of it's been messed with in Brazil, which a lot of trees of there's a whole bunch of trees in Brazil, a good percentage too. But there's also a good percentage in Africa and parts of Asia. The trees in Africa are, they're everywhere. You can't cut them all down, even if weather does not permit them to live. But there's still plenty in the Arctic. So if you have to go into a new center, it's not likely. I think that trees have the way of living. If we cut down a lot, of course the seed's going to be a lot more. You see that part. So if we cut too many down, too many seeds are going to overcrowd the it's just going to be overcrowding in the forests. So trees have their way of overpopulating, if need be. Deserts and cities are going to be filled with live trees. On the other hand, there's going to be a lot of other things like issues with man lying. Now let me get this all straight. All of the man's lies can be accounted for from the beginning of the world. But on YouTube, you can hear every single part of the lie that man has created. Karen Smith, what do you mean what? Okay, so do you mind explaining? You just came in here in the late video, so that's all. Well, anyway, all the lies on in the world has been every lie that you ever hear in the world is on YouTube. All the deceit, all the things that you hear about deceit is on YouTube. I know. Still, YouTube. It's really. Everything that you hear on YouTube is either false, or it can be true, or it can be mixed. And mixed is false. And sometimes there's truth on YouTube, but it's rarely happening. All right. So anyone that is to be truthful has to speak of the truth on YouTube, because if there's truth found on YouTube, then it's found in these people that are not. All right. Just subscribe to me, okay? Just subscribe and like, that's all you have to do. And also hit the bell icon, okay? All right. Here we go. All right. So basically, I see what was going on. Never mind. Let's see. So anyway, so yeah, Oh, you like me, don't you? Eh, well, anyway, I'll talk on YouTube. So basically, it's right here. So on YouTube, you can't just expect anyone to speak the truth because, again, with the Bible says, there's no there is no truth found in there's no truth found in man. There's no truth found in anyone because we are born without truth and we are born in darkness, and everyone is they're basically born in darkness, and they're basically not with truth. And Jesus is the light. Again, Jesus is the only light that can save us from that. But again, like I said, we cannot be completely blameless until we're in heaven. So the truth will be in us, even though it's complex. But Jesus is not a created being. He is his own being. And if you have Jesus within you, then, oh dear, you can have the truth within you, and you can have Jesus have the truth. It's all truth once you have Jesus. So if you have a YouTuber that's all about Jesus, then you can have it's truth. Truth is always the truth. Jesus is the only truth, and he's the only good news. He's the only thing that's good, and the angels are also good, but he's the only main thing that's really good. And once we are in heaven, we'll be the things that are good, even though we were not originally good. So basically, we'll be completely blameless once we accept Jesus into our hearts and basically have him as Lord of our life and believe upon the all right. So basically, accept him to your heart and believe that he died for you and all that. So anyway, so YouTube is if YouTube is true, then what about the people on it? Like I would say, 99% of the people on YouTube are not the truthful people. They're liars. A to the power of 2. Oh dear. Oh, this is different. A to the power of 2. This is different. Is this division? I know 8 squared is 64, but if it's like 4, then I can do that. If it's 6 or if it's 10, I can give you either 64 multiplications. So that is I can say it's 16, but on the other hand, try to get a little bit of help from your it's like you can get help from professional sources. I'm not a professional source, but I can do a lot of math. I'm an old-fashioned type of guy with the math. I say 8 times 2, which is 16, but 8 to the power of 2 is 16. It's the same thing, I believe. So, and how to do that? You just have 18. This modern math really gets to me because the whole thing that sucks about this is, it's 8 plus 8. It's times 2. It's 8 plus 8 plus 8, 8 plus 8, which is 8 times 4, which is 32. But you can do it in the old-fashioned way and get in trouble for it, which I don't like. Or you can complain that it's too hard to do that way because kids are failing that. Or on the other hand, you can get a lot of professional help. So, like I said, even math on YouTube, a lot of people are old-fashioned on YouTube. Like if they say, I'm like 35 years old and this is how I do math, and this is the only way you should do math, and this is the perfect way to do math, and this is how you're doing math, just avoid him with all costs because he is not doing the right way for you, even though he thinks he's doing the right way for him, even though it is practically the right way, but everyone can do math a different way. So anyway, on YouTube, YouTube is filled with very strange stuff. Education. Education is on YouTube, like science, math, history. History is the worst one, I believe. Science can be bad too, but history is the worst. Because I have theories on, this is my last point. History has so many theories about how to figure out what happened in the past. I mean, we only remember things of our lives back from when we were born. Like for me, for instance, it's like back in fall 1989. But on the other hand, back in the early 1800s, I don't remember. Back in the ancient times, we don't remember at all. We don't even have we don't even have a smidgen of a memory of the ancient times, even especially like BC times, not even especially even the times back in the, let's say, medieval times. Medieval times are just such a blank to us because we don't even know what the medieval times have in hand for everyone. Because medieval times, you had everything back then, but we don't have everything that back then today because we have torn up pages of the book. I mean, the Bible is preserved because it's passed on like a torch. Not everything's like that. We have torn up pages. We have things like ruins. What was that ruin originally? If we think, oh, that's what the ruin looked like, then we're deceiving ourselves because the Colosseum was a good example of a ruin that was kind of like a ruin that was possibly disc shaped or maybe even circular shaped. But maybe it was like a football field. Who knows? It was what the Bible says it was a place to be amused, to be taken up of your seat, and a place to be having fun. It was an arena to have a show. That's what the Bible tells us about. By history, it says, "Oh, that's how people, television says, oh, this is what happened. This is what happened in the gladiator times, and there was these men that were warriors and video games and all about. It's not all true. But then there are other Roman buildings that were, say all of them were like this. The building, the roof shape was like this, and it had pillars like this. All of them were like that. No, not all of them were like that. Most of them, I believe, were like buildings of Jerusalem. Most of them were like the buildings of Egypt. Most of them had, I would say, a straw-like roof that was like cement and straw. And you had a hole in it to go through. There's a hole in it that you could cook through and go through the ladder through. It's simple. and there was not good enough lighting. There's only like windows. It was made out of clay, cement, and straw. Some of them were not even made out of straw. Some of them were even made out of cement and clay. The straw was to insulate it, but some of it was made out of cement and clay. And the Bible says that we even had tar back then. So pitch was tar pitch. That we had pitch for whatever reason. I wasn't. I don't think the Bible was very clear about what the pitch was there for. But I hear that pitch is kind of flammable in a certain way. So pitch was to trap enemies and all that, but we never knew that we could actually make streets out of pitch because we didn't have the machines for that back then. But for everything else, other than the Bible, let's say the medieval times. We don't have anything from the medieval times. We have the exoskeleton of the castles. YouTubers that say, "Oh, the castles were made out of this way or that way." They have some information, but the old castles that have nothing. I mean, they were just made out of rock. But then, how did they make the floor? They make it out. Did they make the second floor out of wood? Did they have a wash tower? I mean, all of them had wash towers. I'm sure they all had houses around the castle, and they were just villages of castles. But we don't know that. Because they could have had a whole castle system around them. That was like, we all have town halls. This is our today castles. And we have the White House. That's like the main home in the castle, and that's the Capitol building in DC. The whole thing is like a city of a castle. But the castles back then, we just don't know anything about. We could have the whole thing be a town and not know about it. The whole thing could be like a town hall, and the castles could be just a town hall, and we just don't know about it. Guards could come from the castles. They could be the police of that time. We don't even know about it. And then we had guards back in the Roman times, because the Bible talks about it. And they were like the police, and they all had. Guess what, guys? Think you have a different system back then? Guys, we all have the same system. We all have the same system that we had back then. We have the same system today that we had back then. Back then, we had everything. Sorry about the noises. There was just someone just excited. Again, everything runs the same way, except for technology. And they'd say, "Oh, technology in Rome was like the 1800s back today." Well, I know we had the aqueducts, but everything was very different back then. Aqueducts were just gravity. We practically just lost that back then. And we don't even have that in the 1800s. Everything, like I said, was very different back then. We don't even know half the Roman times. We don't even know half the Roman stuff back in the Roman times. We don't even know half the stuff in BC. But we do know that there were tunnels underneath every city, like in Egypt, and like underneath Rome. There were catacombs in Rome. That we do know. But on the other hand, there were, there were things that we don't know about the catacombs. Like, what did they do underneath the catacombs? They could have a whole history channel about the catacombs, and yet we don't even know what they were or what they're there for. We didn't have subways back then. We didn't have trains back then. We didn't have any machinery back then. So people crawled underneath the city for whatever reason. Maybe they had homes there. They probably had homes there then. They probably had other things like hiding places. Every city had a sewer, hiding place, a home. Sorry if I tripped a little bit. I'm good at balancing on things, but not good at balancing on flat things. So I'm good at balancing on logs and rocks because I'm focused on that. But I'm not good at balancing on flat things because I'm not focused on that. You know. So don't worry, I'm not drunk. So let's just say that all the mysteries have been explained will never be explained until we get to heaven. Because once we get to heaven, everything will be explained. Like all the questions that you have right now, if you get to heaven, everything will be explained by God to you. Or maybe it will be explained by your knowledge. You have infinite knowledge in heaven. You have uncorruptible bodies, which means you have infinite knowledge. Uncorruptible bodies and a perfect body and be completely sinless, and everything will be uncorruptible in heaven. Everything will be completely beautiful, but we don't know what it looks like. And everyone that claims that we know heaven looks like, I don't even know what heaven will look like. But everyone that claims that they know what heaven heaven will look like, they're lying to you. Now let me end it on this. Lies are all over YouTube. It is dripping from the fangs of YouTube, called the Serpent. And YouTube has a lot of issues with lies. Like with everything that I talked about, like history, like, Christians with YouTubers, even YouTubers, and what is true and false about drugs and how to like even deal with sexual things, like how to avoid all kinds of ways, and even things that we talk about on the physical example. Like for example, being healthy is a lie on YouTube, and I haven't gone through that, but even let's say, even just trivial things like history and like not history, like math and science, and I would say even religion is also a big lie on YouTube. Do not believe in religion on YouTube. And mostly things everywhere on YouTube is a lie, like including news and everything else is a lie on YouTube. And the most important thing is 99%, 99.9, like 99.8% of YouTube is a lie. Just remember, okay? All right. I think I've said enough. It's been a long video, but anyway, I bet you handle this. But anyway, I'll be done now, okay? Bye. Sorry about the noise. That's well. Yay. Hello. Yeah, I ended. It's unfortunate, but hey, he's gonna come back.